In these boxes, we have some of the rarest reptiles that have ever entered the country. I'm here with Ashley from Northern Reptile Imports, and we're gonna show you some crazy things in this video. Let's go. We're starting off incredibly strong with this Sara laricata, otherwise known as the Mesopotamian spiny-tailed lizards. These guys are native to the Mesopotamian plain and the Zagros foothills in Iraq and southwestern Iran. In their native range in Iran, they are one of the largest lizards, reaching up to about 52 centimeters. And this is truly one of the species that I really never expected to see. I've seen it in some collections in Europe, but I would have never in my wildest dreams expected me to be holding one here today. In their natural habitat, they live in heavily compacted substrate, which facilitates burrowing perfectly. Very similar to a Uromastix in care, extremely hot basking temperatures, 130 plus degrees Fahrenheit. They're primarily herbivorous, feeding mostly on the genus of Prosopis, which is similar to like a North American mesquite. However, Nazari, Serenge, and Torhi in 2017 observed them consuming insects as well. So these guys are truly very close to the same care as Uromastix. I'm so excited that I got to see them today. I hope you guys realize how special this is to see in person, and congrats to their new owner in the US. And sticking with the Uromastix theme, we're going to be moving towards the Uromastix thomasi, otherwise known as the Omani spiny-tailed lizard. Trust me, I know you guys are waiting to see this snake that costs about as much as a used car, but that will be later on in this video. We need to work you guys into it, so let's enjoy the beauties of the Uromastix thomasi. These cute little dudes right here inhabit coastal regions of Oman. They're some of the smallest of the genus Uromastix. They're incredibly cute and sport an adorable personality to go with it. Not only that, but they strike a nice balance of color. Most Uromastix are either really vibrant or not so much. These guys are kind of a subtle white color with blue down the middle if you get a really nice one. One thing about the Euros is their love of heat. Like I mentioned before, basking temperatures need to be around 130 plus degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty insane to most of us reptile keepers, but truly that's what they need. Now, as much as I'd love to own this Sara laricata, these guys are a much more realistic thing to own in the future. They'll be at the very top of my list of Uromastix to keep in the future. If Ashley has any remaining, I would happily babysit one. They're just the best little dudes. Let's just take a moment to take in the beauty of the Nautinus grayi, otherwise known as the Northland Green Gecko. What a gorgeous gecko. I can't believe these are real. The Nautinus grayi is an arboreal species of gecko endemic to New Zealand, and they are just like a Bronya. They like it cool. I'm talking down to like 5 degrees Celsius during the winter. That is too cold for me, despite me being in Canada and it getting like minus 40 Celsius. Let's not talk about that. They are omnivorous, but their diet consists of mostly insects with the occasional treat of like nectar, small fruits, and honeydew. Honestly, I can make a video completely dedicated to this species because I would love to visit somebody that keeps these in captivity. I know there's actually somebody local to me who does and who have successfully produced 2 species, I believe now, of Nautinus. So maybe I can reach out to him and he might be interested in doing something like that. But in the meantime, I wanted to let you guys take in their stunning appearance and their incredible rarity. While these are becoming a little bit more popular in the hobby, they are still incredibly hard to find and very expensive. I have made a video on the channel showing these guys off once before at Ashley's because she has done an import prior to this, but I will never forgo the opportunity to see these guys, hold these guys, and just interact with them. I'm sure many of us have heard of the genus of Bronya or Arboreal alligator lizards, but this is not your average graminia. This is the Bocourt Arboreal alligator lizard, endemic to a specific mountain plateau in the Guatemalan highlands. Like other Bronya, these occur in the cloud forests from around 2,000 to 2,200 meters above sea level, meaning they like it cold, but plenty of sunlight with high UV exposure. Being that I've never kept them before, I don't know a ton about Abronia other than they are incredibly beautiful, pack a very powerful bite, and they're also very endangered. If you'd like to learn more about them, my friends Maddie and Tyler have produced them several years in a row, so they might be able to answer your questions and or provide you with a baby. Check out what we have here. This is the Namaqua Chameleon, or Camaleo namaquensis, one of the most unique chameleon species in existence. Instead of living in lush jungles in the mountains of Africa or Madagascar, this little homie decides the desert was the best place for him. Yes, that is all true. This is a species of chameleon from the gravel plains in Namibia and the dry, arid regions of the Karoo and Namaqua land in South Africa. Truly one of the coolest species of lizards I've ever had the pleasure of seeing in person, and something that I really never thought I'd see. Like most other chameleons, they are insectivorous, and they love it nice and toasty in their enclosures. They're relatively new to herpetoculture, and this is actually their first time in Canada, so this is wonderful to see. It makes me happy inside that there are more Canadians that decide that chameleons are worth the time to keep. I truly think so. There was just an awesome video posted by the Terrarium channel that I'll link in the description below for anybody who's interested in more of the captive husbandry of these guys. Hopefully you're able to enjoy this gorgeous species of chameleon as much as I did. We only have a couple more lizards until we get to the holy grail of this episode, so make sure you stick around for the next couple minutes. But here in front of me is probably the most attainable lizard on this list, and something that I would totally own if I didn't have so much going on in my life right now. This is Potomites ecpleopus, a common stream lizard. These guys are a super cool diurnal semi-aquatic lizard native to Central and South America from southern Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, into Brazil, and even northern Peru. These guys are strongly associated with bodies of water, not staying very far from streams, ponds, swampy areas, etc. They're quite omnivorous, preying upon many different invertebrates like snails, worms, crickets, larvae, and there has been record of them eating other lizards and even tadpoles. The Potomites are an incredible lizard species that are quite fascinating in their behaviors and also very underrated and understated with their colors and habits. These guys are basically a budget Shinosaurus in my eyes. I could talk forever about these guys. Like I said, I would totally own them and set up a really cool paludarium for them, but at the moment, now's just not the time. Now, these freaks of nature, I mean, really cool lizards are just that, a lizard, not a snake. Hopefully you got it right in your comment. These guys are the European legless lizards, otherwise known as the Sheltopusic or the Pseudopus apodus. In our experience, they're one of the weirdest handling reptiles I've ever held. They don't handle like a snake, they don't handle like a skink, they don't handle like any other lizard. It's really challenging to explain, but they just go like rigid and super awkward. Now, to be fair, I do acknowledge that it could have been just our specimens, but wow, these are just so strange. I do get the appeal to somebody who really wants something extremely different and off the beaten path. Definitely not my cup of tea, but they are the only extant, meaning still living, species of their genus, so they do have a huge range from the Balkans all the way to Central Asia. And now that I have next to no useful information about these guys, if you like them, I hear they are fairly easy to keep, but very challenging to breed. I believe Snake Discovery might have produced them this year, or at least they got eggs, so congrats to them. If you do have an update on that, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down in the comment section, let me know your thoughts on these charismatic little creeps. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the royal tree snake, or Goniosoma margaritatum. These guys are known to be the rainbow tree snake for obvious reasons. As you can tell, their colors are immaculate. They are just the coolest species of non-venomous snake that I have ever seen. This is another extremely rare species, and it's the whole reason that we were at Ashley's today. We heard these guys were coming in, and Bree could not pass up what will likely be the only time we ever see these snakes. And now you all get to see them as well. They're native to Indonesia and Malaysia, and that's really all I was able to find about them. After doing some quick researching, talking to friends, these guys really fly under the radar, and they are entirely brand new to captivity. Just know they come with a very hefty price tag, and they do not acclimate well, unfortunately. Keep that all in mind. Enjoy these gorgeous snakes. I'll play all the footage that I have for them just because this is probably the only time we're ever going to see them. You guys deserve it. Don't click off the video now. There's still a ton of really awesome snakes to be shown. Their first time in captivity? Supposedly?
So,
certainly in Canada.
This year is the first time they've ever been exported out. These are the first ones that have ever landed into Canada.
Wow. Now that we've all had our minds blown by those insane Goniosoma, we can move to another species of Goniosoma. This is a Goniosoma oxycephalum. It is a blue morph or locale. I don't really know. I think that's kind of up in the air at this point. Let's keep that train of beautiful animals going with this red-tailed rat snake, because Bree's fascination with this genus is something that I haven't seen before in her. She loves these things more than she loves me. I think she's willing to sign off on that too. This blue just hits different. It's like a nice, almost green sky blue. I really don't know how to explain it, but it is one thing that you have to see in person to truly understand. The camera's actually picking it up pretty good right now though. I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to enjoy this beautiful blue snake, which is something you really don't see all that often in nature. Now this cool little dude is an Aurora house snake, or Lamprophis aurora. These guys are very striking in appearance, terrestrial and nocturnal. They are found in the Cape Peninsula and the Eastern Cape in South Africa. They eat primarily rodents, lizards, and frogs. In captivity, they tend to be picky eaters, to say the least, but for an experienced keeper, they can be extremely rewarding to keep. They stay small at around 2 to 3 feet in length. You can see it in front of you now. This is truly a stunning snake, especially for a much more reasonable cost when compared to all the other snakes that we've shown in this video so far. And now for all of you North American colubrid lovers out there, we have a treat for you today. This is the golden-headed garter snake, otherwise known as the Thamnophis chrysocephalus. This is one of the more recent garter snakes introduced to captivity, and really I could not find a whole lot known about this species. I looked all across Google Scholar, through papers, everything. This is kind of uncharted territory when it comes to Thamnophis. With that said, they are endemic to Mexico. I'm not a huge garter snake guy myself, but I can definitely appreciate a nice snake when I see one, and the adult photos of these guys are stunning. If anybody knows more about this species, please let me know in the comment section down below. I would be happy to pin your comment just so everybody else can see more about the species, because I don't know all that much about it. Sticking with the North American colubrids here, we have a Lampropeltis leonis. This is from the jaguar line. They're also known as the variable king snakes. These guys aren't all that much different from all the other species of king snakes that you see. However, being the variable king snakes, they are kind of variants that look very similar to like gray-banded king snakes, Mex-Mex, and the Durango mountain king snakes. So these guys come in all sorts of flavors. Now they don't really fit into the same degree of rarity, I guess, as the rest of the snakes and all the other animals that I'm filming here, but to be honest, these guys are some of the bread and butter that we can all afford and we can all enjoy. So please check them out if they pique your interest. They're really cool species of king snake. Let me know what you think of them in the comments down below. Now we're amping up the ante with the mock vipers, Samodonastes pulverulentus. I'm sure I butchered that, but we'll move on. They really do live up to their name of mock vipers, with their front row of teeth looking just like fangs. However, these are a rear-fanged venomous species with a huge graphical range throughout southern China to peninsular Malaysia and most of Indonesia and the Philippines. They are a diurnal, rear-fanged, and mildly venomous species, feeding primarily on lizards and geckos, so these are one that is going to be a little bit more challenging for most people to keep in captivity, but if you are dedicated to the species, they make an incredibly rewarding pet. They are actually considered terrestrial, believe it or not, only climbing a few feet off the ground into small bushes. The mock vipers are a fairly compact snake, only growing about 2 feet for an adult female, which you can actually see on screen here. She's an adult female. As you can tell, the males are much smaller than them. They're a very unique species of snake that definitely isn't for everybody, but can make for a ridiculously cool pet for those who are dedicated to them. And now we're going to bang out a couple species in air quotes at the same time. These are actually 2 species of Boiga hybridized together, and there's actually 2 different hybridizations here. The first one you're seeing right now is the Cyanea cross Lattifasciata, and just for comparison purposes, this one is a Cyanea cross Melanota. As hybrids, these guys have a lot of room of variation when it comes to size. Cyanea females typically get about 4 feet, while males get around 6 feet, and are found throughout a huge range from India all the way down to Malaysia, while the Dendrophyllum melanota and Lattifasciata are generally larger, 8 to 10 feet-ish. All the species in the Boiga genus are rear-fanged and venomous, though it's a mild venom, and these species specifically have a fairly testy attitude. So if you're not accustomed to a large snake wanting to take a chunk out of you with a potentially spicy aftertaste, probably stick away from these guys. I'm typically not a fan of hybridizing, but the Cyanea and Melanota together actually happen naturally and has been given a name of the Boiga Hybrids. I suppose that's pretty cool. These are snakes that are Ashley's own personal pets that she ended up getting in that I'm just showing off. Don't think that you can go in and order these guys. They're not commonly available. Now that you've added so much to your comment down below, let me know what you think of hybrids as well, because I think it's a very hot topic that can be debated till the end of time. So I'm curious to know what you guys think about it. Either way, these two snakes are absolutely stunning and I cannot wait to see them as they grow because, as I mentioned, they're Ashley's pets and we'll get to see them later in the future. And now why don't we keep this Boiga train going with the fantabulous Boiga divergens. And this one is a special treat for you guys because it is actually an exanthic divergens. This is another subspecies of the Boiga dendrophylla. They're endemic to the Philippines in the lowland rainforests. Again, they can reach up to about 8 feet long, so another fairly large snake, and they are one of the most incredible looking subspecies in my eyes. Let me know what you think down below. I'm not going to spend forever talking about this guy. You guys can just enjoy this beautiful treat of a Boiga. For those of you that stayed to the very end, I'm going to ruin our feng shui with going to the Cuban false chameleon, or Xiphosaurus barbaratus. These guys are a treat. They're a member of the large-bodied anoles endemic to Cuba, and they are classified as a giant twig ecomorph. These guys are a super cool species of anole. They're relatively laid back, they're very easy to keep, and as babies you can see they're even cuter. These guys do get quite large though, and for size reference, here's Ethan's adult, who's a couple years old, just to show as a reference of how large they actually can get. If you're looking for a great pet that is fairly chill, relatively impressive, and cryptically colored, there really isn't much that beats these guys. Also, they eat snails. How cool is that? Crunching snails with their massive jaws. Just don't get bit by these guys. It sucks. All right, Ashley, that was one heck of a night.
It's true.
So many cool reptiles. We've been looking at reptiles for like 2 hours, almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it's been an incredible time. I hope you guys have enjoyed. They are not for the shallow wallets.
No, or inexperienced.
Yeah, like these are all, I would say, expert level reptiles for the most part. Like the Uromastics and stuff like that. They cost a lot, but they're not all that hard to keep.
Yeah, they're very straightforward for the most part.
Anyways, I'm going to stop blabbling. We actually do have some animals to show you when I get home, but I did want to thank Ashley for opening up her home, feeding us dinner, and keeping us all night.
Yeah,
so
no worries.
I cannot wait for this.
You're the one that has to drive, not me.
That's true. Yeah, we got an hour and a half drive home. With that being said, let's go home and get these guys away.